What's it gonna take? What's it gonna take? All right. Hello there, ChickChat. Welcome to our first Jersey Shore stream. We're going to cover both episodes 1 and 2 because we're a little late to the game. But honestly, I kind of like having a conclusion from episode 2 because episode 1 leaves us on a pretty big cliffhanger. So I do like that we can wrap that up into a nice little bow for you guys. But we start off this episode with all of the kids and Vinny getting ready for the day with the help of their parents. And this was fun to watch. I think, like we were talking earlier, just the editing of this show is just so funny.
Yeah, I think that's part of what's kept it going for so long, especially as they're adults, because this show does tend to have a couple of periods, I mean, even like episodes long sometimes within a season of nothing going on. So I think sometimes the editing really saves the show. There are times where it just keeps it entertaining and lighthearted. I think this is one of the cases where production is an asset to the show instead of it hindering the show, in my opinion.
Yeah, they're the same network as Teen Mom, but for some reason they're so much better at this than Teen Mom's editors and whatever are.
They are.
So.
I also know, like, I mean, I guess the point of Jersey Shore is a lot different than the point of Teen Mom. I know Teen Mom has this kind of, they like to idealize themselves as semi-educational, pseudo-educational, I think is more accurate. But, you know, Jersey Shore has always just been a fun show. It's about like being lighthearted, and we've always been making fun of all of them since, you know, the day that they came in, especially Angelina with her trash bags.
Yeah, and I will preface this with you guys. So I am Italian, so I might sometimes come off as annoying or something if I know stuff, but my mom is full Italian, so I grew up very similar to these people, just in a different state, just same traditions, same things. So there's a lot of things that I'm in tune with, and I'm probably more Italian than half of the people on this show.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit of background about me. So if I tend to come off as like a know-it-all when it comes to certain things, it's just like the Italian stuff is just in my blood. I've been doing this longer than they've been showing it on TV. So anyway, so yes, all these kids are getting ready, and I saw a comment where somebody was like, why did Snooki let her kid cuss her out? And I was like, all he said was get out of my room. Like, he's a teenage
kids are grumpy
boy.
in the morning. Yeah.
Yes, and none of these kids were excited to hold up these signs. You know, this is a newer thing. If my parents made me sit around holding a sign every time and taking a photo, I think I'd be kind of annoyed of it too.
I mean, I definitely did the first day picture, but not with a sign, not with you know, all this information and stuff. Yeah.
Vinny also has his sign.
He gets his own sign. Which, again, this is how the editing, this is how the production adds to the show, right? It's like they are doing this on purpose to make fun of the storyline that we're making fun of already, that we already would be making fun of, is here's Vinny getting ready with his mom for his stuff while everyone else is getting their children ready. And, you know, no shade to Vinny. He's living his own best life, but that's what they're showing. This show is hilarious. I'm really happy that we're going to cover it because, yeah, it's always been, I don't know, we tend to cover a lot of, you know, grumpy families and difficult like dynamics and things like that. So I think this will be nice and lighthearted.
And Vinny's mom is the poster child of Italian moms. And I like that we see their relationship a lot, because this is like standard, how men and their moms are in Italian households. Like, they will baby them. I mean, you can't even go over to a Vinny's mom or anyone like her's home without being fed, without having food to take home. And Italian women are just so nurturing. And this is just exactly what happens, though, sometimes when you're a little too nurturing. But yeah, this man, Vinny, he wants to find a woman like his mom, and just no one's ever going to compare when, you know, so that's why this man is 36 and his mom's helping him get ready for his comedy show. But this is just brilliant. I love the editing. The hobbies is stripping. I just love this whole scene was just a great thing to begin on.
Yeah, a great intro to the
Mhm.
15th year, by the way, which is a really big season for Jersey Shore. I think another good reason for us to cover it. I know I've watched it since the beginning.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's been 15 years with Jersey Shore. It's been 15 years with Teen Mom. I think it's really that kind of that era of reality TV,
Yeah.
in our generation.
I started watching the second season because, I'm echoing on your end for some reason, but, at least I was for a second, I don't know, but, uh, I did watch the first season because so back then, the Italian Association of America wanted to shut this thing down,
Yep,
and,
I
like,
remember.
I'm not a true member of that, but I have been there many times for Christmas and things like that, like, my family would host these events there. Um, there's all different chapters, so, like, there's chapters everywhere around the country for the most part. In fact, I've been trying to find a chapter in Texas because I can't find a damn Italian grocery store to save my life. Um, you need to start going to Vincent Joe's, by the way, Brooke. That's the best grocery store in the world, and it's in Detroit. Um, anyways, little tidbit for you there. Anyway, so I didn't watch the first season. I started on the second season out of respect for my people because it was just a big thing at that time. Italians did not respect the show. They
Yeah,
didn't
I do
want the show
remember
to
it
come
being a
out
big thing.
because the word Guido in general is such a derogatory term to real Italians, like in Italy and things like that. So
Mhm.
they were trying to sensationalize words like the word Guido is almost, I don't want to say it's like the N word, but it's kind of in a similar, it's offensive. So yeah, they were trying to like, I don't know, just at the time it just wasn't tasteful for Italians to be watching the show, but then I kind of came around to it. But it's funny because I'm Italian and then my husband's from Jersey Shore. So
Mhm.
he's
Right.
from Jersey, I should say.
Mhm.
So
But not Italian.
he's not Italian, no,
Yeah.
but he knows like where they're at half the time in the show, and I just know
Mhm.
what they're talking about most of the time. So it's just kind of
Yep.
funny. His mom did tease his hair. His mom is so loving. Like, she's such a fun lady. I love whenever I see her, Uncle Nino, like, they're so, and especially together, the way they banter together, like brother and
Oh,
sister is
yeah.
just so funny.
Well, I
Uh,
think Vinny is future Uncle Nino.
mhm. My
Oh, you
hubby is
can move to
Italian.
Australia, Anne.
Well, if I wasn't so terrified of y'all's spiders and like y'all's
Yeah.
bugs, I probably would, but
Mhm.
I
Those are the kinds of things you have to grow up with to accept.
we used to be able to get citizenship in Italy if you can like if you were a great if your great grandparents came over basically, so up to that. So that would be me. But now they've changed it to where it's got to be closer.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that if my mom goes through citizenship and gets citizenship through Italy because her grandparents came over, it's a little bit closer, then maybe I can get citizenship through her because if she's a citizen, then I can piggyback off of
Mm.
that. So let's hope for that, you guys. But one day I'd like to go over there, you know. I actually wouldn't mind being stationed over there, but I got these two dogs that I don't know how I feel about flying. But
Yeah,
anyways,
that would be interesting.
yeah. So
So,
as
moving on.
yes, the girls meet up. It's everybody but Angelina, as the same time that the guys are meeting up to go to San Gennaro.
Yeah.
Ugh, San Gennaro.
Yes.
Ah, my god, I
And,
can't talk
it's
today.
not really that unusual that Angelina doesn't show up to a lot of these things, especially things that don't have to do with trips. It seems like the pattern the last couple of years, at least, watching the show has been Angelina will show up to the trips, but when the trips
Mhm.
are not ongoing and they're sort of meeting when they're all at home and hanging out when they're all at home, either Angelina is invited and she doesn't show up, or Angelina is not invited and then she starts an argument because she's not invited. So it does seem like, at least according to the editing on this show, and maybe things are different, but I mean, they all talk like it's semi, accurate. I mean, it seems like Angelina is, as usual, having a hard time connecting with the group, starting
Mhm.
a lot of rumors about the group. And when we see her in her little,
I mean,
what's it
what's it
gonna
gonna take?
take?
I mean, what is it gonna take?
Honestly, is this song about Jersey Shore, or is this song about her last relationship that failed, or what?
They say she's writing about her life. I don't know if she's writing these songs. This whole scene of her in the studio, I was cackling. I had to watch it 3 times because it was just hilarious.
It
She
was great.
sounds horrible in the studio.
I
She's
know.
singing, "What's it gonna take?" And like it's coming out the same exact way every time. She's like, "Was that bad? Was it
I
bad?"
know.
The guy
It's so
is
funny
like,
because Angelina gets a lot of hate, and at the same time, I think the show would not be the same without her. She is by
mhm,
far the most entertaining person to watch. However, I can totally appreciate how everyone else is at their complete wits end with her. But that's sort of
yeah.
what's entertaining about it is she's a little bit delulu.
Yeah, she's problematic, but she is entertaining. And I think it's hard to like be friends with her, but it is easy to watch her.
Yeah. It seems like at the end of the season, though, there's going to be some questions around
Or
her
continuing.
health, I think, her mental
Oh,
health, maybe some, I who was it that I think Jenny said something about this is either going to end in your life being over or
mhm.
going, behind bars. And, usually you say that to people who have issues with substances and things like that. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not starting any rumors here, but I mean, they do kind of allude to that at the season teaser kind of thing. So I don't know. If she's not healthy, it's not funny. But if she's just a little bit delusional because she's kind of, quirky, then it's hilarious. That's what I'm going with until I know otherwise.
Cindy says I'm not an Angelina fan, too much drama. She is a lot of drama, but sometimes we need a
Yeah, I
little
wouldn't
bit of
call I wouldn't call myself a fan, but I don't
not a
know.
fan.
I don't yeah, I don't know if I don't know how much like I would love to be watching the show without Angelina.
She brings something, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I was
Although,
dying.
I will say, like, 2 seasons
Huh?
ago, Angelina was arguing with a lot of people, I think the entire cast, and they did spend an entire episode of them just sitting on a couch and arguing while there was an entire beach party going on
Yeah.
outside, which there was kind of some funny editing, of course, going on around that made it funny. But other than that, it was literally the entire episode of arguing, and I can agree with that is too much drama.
That can be a lot.
But
Yeah. Sometimes,
yeah.
sometimes a nice break from her is good. But I was dying. Okay, like I needed an ambulance when she was talking to the guy that's producing this for her, and he's playing it back for her, and it sounds like a totally different song. And she's like, "Is this auto-tuned?" And he's like,
Just a
just a
little.
little bit." And I'm like, "Sir, a little bit? Like
I
you
know. And
full
then
on
he goes,
T-pained her. Just
yeah.
T-pain."
And when she asks, "Oh, so you think I need a little bit more training?" He says, "Of course."
Of course, obviously.
They just spent
Oh my
15
god.
minutes going back with, "What's it gonna take?"
Came up the same every time. And then this girl had the audacity to say she's like Celine Dion in the booth, and they put her in the
Gosh.
put her in the
You know
car.
what? She is. Snaps for you, Angelina. I wouldn't be
Oh,
back there doing that.
what's it gonna take? I mean,
What's it gonna take?
that is like
I
the
looked for the
worst.
song. I don't think it's out yet. I looked on Spotify and YouTube and I Googled it. But it's already stuck in my head, so there's points for that. She reminds me of sort of, like Heidi Pratt type
Oh
of
yeah,
situation, or like Deborah OG from Teen Mom, that
yeah.
kind of pop music,
Or the or Kim from Real Housewives or whatever when
Yeah,
she was doing her music. Yeah.
yep. I'm
But
down. I'm here for it.
oh, I'm here for it. I just wonder if Angelina watches this, like, watched this episode come out and was like, "Holy crap, I sound horrible." Like,
Probably would blame editing or something for that.
we might not ever get this full song. We just have "What's it gonna take?" just stuck in our heads. Um,
But we do
so
get into Angelina talking to her producer friend about what is the beef currently between her and the cast. And I guess she has a podcast. I didn't know this. I didn't go back and watch it, but I might give it a whirl when I get Garage Mom's rap. Yeah.
you know what? I forgot about the part where she said, "I'm actually a rapper."
I know.
Girl, stop.
And then she rapped the or
Yeah,
with
they
a
had a rap.
W with
Did they
war.
have a rap battle last season or something? And she lost like pretty
I
damn
think
early
so. I
on.
think the one that they showed was from 5 years ago or something.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I guess Angelina's been on her podcast, her own podcast, other people's podcasts, talking about the cast and not saying very good things about them, saying that when she comes back from these family vacations that she's always sick, that they make her physically ill, that she, wants to vomit, and that nobody's ever satisfied with anything that happens. And, I think she's probably never satisfied either, but that's for another confrontation, another day.
She gets herself so worked up,
She sure does.
I could see her maybe getting sick after every family vacation because how worked up she lets herself get.
Honestly. And in the meantime, the other ladies are just sitting here enjoying each other's company, still having a good time, but just kind of talking a little bit more openly. I do notice that when Angelina's not around, these four women tend to have deeper conversations with each other than when Angelina is around. And I know that there's probably all kinds of valid reasons for that. I know, like, as Sam, I would not want to be opening up about my IVF journey with someone around who, is quick with their mouth and always angry with me 1 minute and this and that. No, I don't want anything to do with that. So Sam
Does
Deana
have a poof? Like, has she got a poof?
I think that might be Jenny's head behind her.
Okay.
Maybe.
Possible.
It is possible because it looks like a part right there a little.
But
maybe that's the end of her head and the beginning of Jenny's head.
Yeah.
I don't know. So yeah, that's not a good angle, but
yeah.
She looks like a cone head or a poof head, or it's Jen.
I'll let my dogs out of here, so I'm going to be off camera for just 2 seconds while you say what's going on in this scene.
Okay. Yes. Can you guys hear my dogs? Or not my dogs, but the neighborhood dogs? Can y'all hear these neighborhood dogs? Let me know. Anyway, so a couple of different storylines get set up when they're talking at this table. Sammi opens up some more. We heard a little bit about this last season, but Sammi opens up some more about her IVF journey. And then Snooki lets everybody know, Nicole, I guess we call her Nicole now, but she lets everybody know that she is moving forward with figuring out, like, she's already seen that she has a biological mom and that she is alive, but now she's going to see photos of her and see if she has any siblings and get photos of those, which this is really what she was looking for when she initially started off looking for her family. She wanted what Angelina had, which was that binder. She wanted photos of all her biological people and her biological father, if possible, too. So this is what she was looking for. I think she might end up getting more than what she's looking for. I mean, we'll even see a conversation happen in the second episode, but I mean, maybe even more will happen. Maybe they'll meet at some point. I don't know. You're muted.
Okay. And it says a lot that Snooki's, waited all of this time. Good. It's really says a lot that she's waited, 36 years or so to get a hold of her birth mom. I mean, obviously she's really happy where she's at, so she must feel pretty conflicted about reaching out. And, her parents are amazing. I don't know if she's an only child with them. I was curious about that.
I feel like she is. I feel like I've heard that from her before.
Okay. Yeah. So it's just got to be hard on them. And I know that they're very supportive of her, but yeah, it's got to still be tough. And yeah, I'm glad that she's going to go this route, though, because it sucks to not have answers and you don't want to wait too long because then people might not be here anymore. So yeah. And what's interesting is that she did like a video a long time ago on YouTube about her adoption. And she did give whatever reason must have been given to her at the time, which was that like her parents had so many kids and that, they couldn't afford anymore. And that's what happened. But it's not the same story that we hear later in the episode. So I don't know if that's something that whatever agency they had told them, or if there was a miscommunication in translation or something like that, because it is a different story than what she says on her adoption video on YouTube.
Right.
So I thought that was interesting.
Maybe we'll find out more.
Maybe we shall. But for now, we're going to go over to the guys who are going on a little trip to New York to San Gennaro, and they are going to it's this big block party, pretty much. It's, as Polly says, a charcuterie board of all kinds of foods for 6 blocks. This reminds me a little bit of Vincent Joe's. Have you ever been in that Italian grocery store? They have not only the groceries, but then they have lines and lines of food like this where you can
like
just
hot
pick
food.
Things. Yeah, food ready to eat. I mean, some of it's cold, but like ready to eat food that you can just have it put in a box for you and you can eat it, take it home. But yeah, Mike brings a cooler that's empty just so he can bring all this stuff back. I love the dedication.
That's so Mike. Ever since Mike gave up drinking, he's picked up eating, and he orders. I mean, every single time they're at a restaurant, he orders every single item at the restaurant. He's kind of known for that at this point. I don't know how he stays fit. I know when he went to prison, he lost quite a bit of weight because he was gaining some, but I don't know how he does now. I think, if he's open to going to Turkey for his hair, I wonder if he's maybe getting
Ozempic or something. Well, if he was on like Ozempic or anything like that, then he would not be eating so much. So I don't think he would go.
Yeah, I don't think he's on that. No, I think either they're literally sucking the fat out of him once a year, or he really does have a good workout regimen. But I mean, you can see in the second episode he does not. So
who knows? I mean, he must keep up in some ways. He might not be a runner, but maybe he's a lifter. So
he's a runner. He's a track star.
He's a runner. He's a track star.
Speaking of track stars.
Yeah, Paulie has a little twin out there, a little Temu version of himself, and they were wearing the same outfit. Like, was this guy following his Snapchat or something? How did he know to wear the same damn outfit?
I don't know. I think he showed up there probably knowing that they were there. I don't know how he found like the same blue outfit, but he obviously did his hair like Vinny, either because he's obsessed with Vinny or because he knew Vinny.
Paulie.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, Vinny is back.
I keep looking at Vinny in the video. That's why I'm confused.
Yes. Yeah, and even Mike's wearing a shirt with himself on it. It was giving Lamar vibes.
Yeah, they're funny when they go out. I love these guys.
They wear their own self on the t-shirts.
Yeah. But... So we start to start the rumor train that I suspect will go on all season about Mike's hair. It seems
and
like
he won't
could have gone somewhere to have an adjustment.
Yes. It seems like he could have went to Turkey, but he won't admit that for the life of him.
I know. I think later on they confront him about it again. He says he can't confirm or deny. So we will not learn about it in these 2 episodes, but maybe we'll learn some more. I think if we know anything about this group of humans is once they have a theory, once they've heard some rumors that they started themselves, they're not going to let it go. So
they'll get it out of him.
Yeah.
What is up with his eyebrow in that? Like, he's got one really dark eyebrow in that second. Like, who did his brows that day?
I think he had his hair dyed really dark at that time, and probably his eyebrows too.
Oh my gosh.
That's funny.
Anyway, so they take this opportunity not just to hang out as bros, but of course there's always got to be some kind of something underlying it, and they're gonna have Vinny do speed dating, date the chooch.
Love it. Why not? I think he's the only one that's eligible right now that's single. I know Ronnie is single, but
but they don't want to endanger another woman anytime.
That's why he needs a couple more years to marinate and heal before we start advertising that man.
Yeah, we can't be advertising.
But he's on a positive path. I will say, I think it's really cool. Everybody is on this season. I think for the first time since they've come back as Jersey Shore Family Vacation. Because I know when Ronnie was around, obviously Sammi wasn't around, and then when Sammi wasn't around, Ron wasn't around, and that was kind of a big thing. Last season was just getting them in the same room, sort of together. And Deana,
how are you?
Right. And Deana and Angelina haven't always been on together at the same time either, way back in the day. So to have the full cast all together, I think this is the first time, and
probably ever, really.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to get them all. I mean, you get most of them, but not all of them. But yeah, Ronnie also took this as an opportunity to try to flirt with some of them girls too. So they weren't all for Vinny. Yeah, these ones, the ones that Vinny wants to find someone like his mom. So,
so
here he goes.
It did seem like he hit it off with the first girl. a little.
He seemed to kind of hit it off with a couple of them, but as he says later, he didn't get no tingly feelings or anything like that. I think part of it is that it was kind of a shock to him. He didn't realize that that's what this was going to be about, but
they always spring these kinds of things on him. I think the only one that he knew about truly was the actual show, The Double Shot at Love, that had both of them. But they've had a couple of these impromptu pop-up dating situations. They did this for Ron, I think, at one point too, and they were at a hotel somewhere. I think it was during COVID, and Ron could not even remember his name when they were introducing him. It was so bad. So I can see why you would get nervous when these kinds of things just pop up. And especially with these guys, they're just gonna sit here and scream at you in the background. It's probably so hard to concentrate.
Yeah, it's all in good fun though. I mean, Vinny's a good sport. He seemed to enjoy it. He even said that the speed dating was better than regular dating because instead of wasting a couple hours on a girl, he only has to waste a couple minutes. So I'm like, there you go, Vinny.
Yeah, always finding the silver lining in things.
And with symbolism, we see Uncle Nino, which is Vinny's future if he doesn't,
I know he hates his Uncle Nino so much, but like the man is Uncle Nino, not just because he's single and aging by the day, but because he's inappropriate. He's constantly cracking a joke that only he thinks is funny. I was shocked to see that his funny was actually funny. That his stand-up was actually pretty funny because most of the time when we see Vinny, he is doing these backhanded sort of stirring the pot comments, and they are funny. But I know that the people that they're about don't think they're funny. I would, if I was friends with Vinny, I would be annoyed with him most of the time.
But Vinny always looks annoyed with everybody else, like all of the time. He's really gotten into his grandpa
I think
stage.
that's his anxiety face.
Must be.
He has like RBF.
He does really bad.
I can relate.
Yeah. So back over to the girls. They are Snooki and Deana. Yeah, Snooki and Deana and Jenny are meeting with the adoption lady with Snooki's parents. And I think this is just like it's so beautiful that everybody can come together over her like this. She needs the support. This is a huge moment for her. And I really give her parents a lot of credit because, it also probably hurts a little bit deep down. But the fact that they're so supportive, protective, but supportive is really a good thing to see.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that this is nice. I think the more people, the better. At the same time, it's probably really hard to process. And she talks about that too of, when she was crying over seeing her mom's picture and then she felt bad because her mom was there too. So yeah, it's got to be really complex. But at the same time, I think nobody should go through that alone. So
nobody. So she gets her binder and she had no idea this woman was going to have actual photos of her mom or her birth mom and everything. So that was just shocking to her. And she just, like you said before, she grabs this photo right away. She smiles and then she just breaks down. I mean, the woman apparently looks almost exactly like her. And so does her sister, and her brother looks like Gianni, which I thought was hilarious. But how amazing, to finally see people who look like yourself. Like, what a moment for her. And yeah, I know she absolutely loves her parents, and her parents were actually like, they were thumbing through the thing too. Like, when did you take this photo? Like, they were, they weren't just there to support her. I think were also curious themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't imagine that they're not. Just I don't know. I always would be. I just don't think it makes any sense to ignore those kinds of feelings. I know that they can be challenging and difficult, but Snooki has a really good relationship with her parents. So I think that they could probably get through a whole lot. Snooki's adoptive parents are so loving and supportive. They really are.
They truly, truly are. You can tell that this girl is their entire world. And her dad, even when they showed that scene, he seemed threatening, like a mob boss or something, but that's just protective. He just wants to make sure she's not going to be hurt at the end of the day. But I think like you said before, though, like with a situation like this, there is going to be a little bit of pain, there is going to be a little bit of trauma, because I mean, how can you, everything in life a lot of times will have trauma or pain attached to it. Doesn't make it a bad thing, but I think it's necessary for her to grow and stuff, because like I was saying before, if you wait too long on these things, people aren't around anymore. So you should get your answers when you want them, when you're thinking about it. It doesn't mean she has to continue a relationship with her birth mom. She can find some kind of balance between that, but I think it's good for her to have these answers, especially with her medical history. I think that's a big thing that adoptive kids, struggle with, is to know like medical history, who they look like, things like that.
Yeah.
Her dad cried when she was giving birth to Lorenzo. I mean, that's his grandbaby. The thing is they're her adoptive parents, but they're her parents. Like, these people had her since she was a baby. They are her parents. They've been her parents for pretty much damn near 40 years. They're gonna still be that. They didn't just pick up a child and like, the same moments that are going to happen in a biological family are going to happen with them too. They're that close. Snooki calls these people her best friends. So they're more than just her parents. She's so close with them. And she said even through this process that they got even closer. So they're a match.
Yeah, well, I think, that's the case. I think, honestly, in most cases, like adoptive parents are parents, right? Like they are the ones who are doing the parenting. And then when we talk about biological parents, I think if you're making a differentiation of biological, that means like that person is kind of separate from me. And I think I don't know, it's interesting to see Snooki go through this process, because it seems like in the beginning, although she's open to hearing everything, that emotionally she seems like she's closed off. Like, I want my medical information. I want to know why I was adopted. But it sounds like she doesn't really have any desires to start a relationship. Like, we saw Angelina go through this process, and she very much wanted right away to meet them and, have a relationship with them and be with them all the time. And it doesn't seem like that's something that Snooki has been really interested in. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that she is so close with her parents that she feels like it would be, I don't want to say disrespectful, and I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think she thinks it would not feel right for anyone. Like,
I think Snooki's situation is just a little bit different because Angelina was with her biological mom. Right. So she's, always had her family. Like, she hasn't been so removed from her family. She just never knew her father, which Snooki is completely removed from whatever biological family that she had before. So for her, this family that she's been born into, that she came up in, that she got a TV show, like she's got all this. She does have a beautiful life. Like she said, she wouldn't trade her life for anything. And I think a lot of times people who are adopted, they kind of struggle with, like, if I entertain this birth family situation, does it mean that I don't appreciate what I have now? And I think that I'm glad Snooki's taking her time with it. I do think she'll eventually have a semi relationship with her birth mom. I think she'll go meet her. It's just curiosity. I feel like, how can you not be curious? But I do think she's going to try to do this in the most sensitive way to her parents, because I think that matters to her a lot. But as we see later when she's talking to the birth mom or whatever, when the birth mom's trying to get more emotional with her, she's just like, well, just tell her that I have a good life. And I know even though like you want to reassure that to the birth mother, I'm sure it also kind of hurts. Like, the mother is really opening up about her pain of losing you. And she probably just wants a little bit of reciprocation of like, I've been thinking about you too. And, just know that I have a good life and that I've always wondered about you and stuff like that. Just a little bit. But I'm glad that she has this opportunity down, that she's going to take it, because, she's been on TV for a really long time. I'm sure that she could have done this 10 years ago with no problem, but, she's that loyal to her parents. And I think it's very important that her parents show that they're supportive of this, which I'm glad that they have, because I think if they weren't supportive of it, she wouldn't be doing it.
Right. Yes. So Snooki says she's wondering if she might want to do something more than see these photos. Spoiler alert, she will. She's going to want to have a chat with them, and we will talk about that very soon. But in the meantime, we meet Angelina and one of her new filming buddies, since she refuses to film with the cast right now.
Back in the studio.
Is she back in the studio?
Yeah, she took this girl to the studio, which made me wonder the whole entire time, did this girl get to watch her sing? Because I would I don't know why we didn't get to watch that.
What's it gonna take?
Like, did she play this girl the songs or what? But yeah, she brought her in the studio. Like, oh, this is my
I
therapy
didn't realize
space.
that.
Oh yeah, they were sitting on a couch in the studio. The girl was even asking her, like, do you sing or like what are you doing here? Is this your podcast?
Oh my god. Oh yeah, maybe it's her podcast studio.
No, she said I sing here. So I think it's the recording studio. I love watching. Oh, I do love that show too. It's actually really good. It's I watched it on Hulu originally, but I think it's like a Lifetime thing. I'm not sure, but or no, Discovery Plus. It was on Discovery Plus. Lost Family. It's about kids who are adopted out and adults search for their birth parents. Yes. And a lot of times, and that's why I'm saying the whole like they're gone sometimes is because a lot of times in that show, the adopted parents are already passed on when, they're a certain age looking for them. So that's why I think it's important to look around now. I'd be laughing hearing her sing in person. I don't know how that producer man.
No,
I don't know how that man does it.
Nope. I'm sorry. I would just laugh. Like, this is hilarious. Is it your point to be funny? That's what I would ask. Is this your purpose?
Like, how much auto-tune is it going to take,
What's it going to take?
What's it going to take?
This sounds good.
The most annoying line in a song I've ever heard, I think.
Anyways, so Angelina talks more about how, she feels physically ill around the cast and she doesn't know what she's going to do about these upcoming trips. And her friend is, at least no BS. I think this is a good kind of person that needs to be in Angelina's life. She did not egg on the drama for Angelina. Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people handle Angelina lots of different ways, and I don't think it's a good idea to egg things on for her because she really just gets more and more angry and motivated to do something crazy. And her friend was just like, don't you think you can sort of let it go? You're the one who's always working yourself up. There can't be any sane human in the world who really wants to have beef with someone that they have to, work with and film with all the time. Like, really, is it that big of a deal? And Angelina says, yes, it is that big of a deal. And no, I cannot film with them. And yes, I am physically ill. And the second that anyone tries to cross me, everything is on the line, out the window, out the door. And that's how she approaches just about everything.
Yeah, it was funny because the friend was like, I think they're trying to be good. And then Angelina's like, no, I think they like being bad. Angelina, like, wasn't it last season or the season before where she was giving Sammi so much crap about, oh, well, I got you this house, blah, blah, blah. But Paulie is the reason you even have been on the show. You were a whole prank that stayed too long.
I know. Exactly. You're still a prank.
Exactly. Yes. You didn't get Sammi her house, just like, whatever. It's just funny to me that when she was going off about Sammi that season, I just wanted to scream that at her. Like, you do realize you were invited here too, ma'am. Like,
right. Exactly. So we get to the last scene of the episode and we learn that Nicole has actually already decided that she would like to do more with the information that she got in the last scene. And she asked the lady to come back so that they can have either a text or a phone or a video conversation. It doesn't seem like it was exactly clear what they were going to do, but just that they were going to communicate somehow. And she brought over a translator because Snooki's mom speaks Spanish. And they showed a little bit of a compilation clip of Snooki whenever she hears Selena, and she's got to be channeling her inner family when that happens.
Yeah, the investigator.
I bet you her mom loves Selena.
Probably. I mean, a lot of
people.
A lot of people do. I thought it was funny that the investigator must not have even told Snooki there was going to be a translator because her and Jenny are like, what are we going to do? How are we going to communicate with this woman? Snooki's like practicing Spanish, but they were practicing their Spanish while this woman was at the door knocking. Like,
I know.
Thank goodness they had a translator because.
Yeah, I don't think that they knew that there would be a translator there.
They didn't even think about translating, I think, until that moment where Jenny was like, how are you going to communicate with her?
I don't think Snooki, I think it's funny because it seems like she took some time, obviously, to think about wanting to talk to them somehow. But it seems like she didn't think beyond, the one or two things that she wanted to know, like how it would feel or how she would communicate or any of that stuff until it was literally happening, which is fine. There's a lot of emotions to process and you're probably not thinking straight. But yeah, it was like a really heavy scene and there were moments that I was tearful. And then, in the next episode when it starts off, which I think is like right here, this is getting into episode 2 now. They do end up, her mom sends a video, and the video just says kind of briefly, I never forget about you and I love you. And
I started
no,
crying then.
yeah, and then you're tearful,
So
right? And then Nicole asks, like, why was I adopted? And Jenny's like, well, that's a little abrupt, but okay, and then you kind of laugh a little bit, and then like they decide all to get on the phone together, and Snooki cannot speak. And I was cackling, and I wanted to be so like, this is a serious moment.
yeah.
This is a big deal for her. And I was dying. I think Jen called her Dora the Explorer, and I had it, but it's
There's no
not
photo.
working. Yeah. I know it won't come through.
Oh.
I tried to re-upload it twice, and there's another one that's like this too.
She does get an explanation in that chat before they go on the call from her mom. Her birth mom says that she gave her up for adoption because she was very young, and when she told the father, he left, so she had zero support, zero income. So she did what she had to do, which was give the baby up, and she probably still struggles with that decision. It seems like, she was very emotional during this, which I could only assume.
Yeah.
It makes me think about Caitlin and Tyler and how lucky they are to have been able to keep communication, because a lot of times these adoptions from especially other countries are so close that you don't even know if you're ever going to find these people. So yeah, the fact that they have such a large platform and, they kind of overuse it is kind of wild. Yeah, I think they should look at Snooki's story. Maybe they should have her on their podcast. But anyways, that scene when she was on the phone with her mom and she's just like, she can't talk. They even had to say, like uno momento so she can collect herself. And then she's like, what do I say? And they're like, hi.
I think it's like she's got to be so frozen because it's like I'm sure there are so many things that she wants to say. And that's where it's like this scene is just so lighthearted and heavy and also funny at the same time because you feel the heaviness of it. What do you say to your mom for the first time ever in your life since you could speak? There's 100 things that you've got to feel frozen, right? And then at the same time, she's
only saying
laughing
hi at first.
Right. She's just like, there's so much going on. And I must have missed a different one because
all the woman said to her was
Dora the Explorer right here.
I think because she said hola.
I know. And she doesn't even say it like her. She's like whispering in this weird, almost sensual voice. She's all hola.
And then her biological mom like. Then the biological mom says, "You have a beautiful voice." And she's just
I was dead. I know.
Yeah, she tried really hard here, but I just couldn't help but laugh, especially because the mom started off this conversation with just a hello. It didn't have to go much further than that at first, and Snooki's just which it's gotta be so scary to talk to her for the first time, hear her voice talking to you. It's just gotta bring up a whole bunch of feelings. But I just loved everything about this. This is kind of the reason I even watched this season, and I'm so invested in it, is because this adoption storyline. We've always heard about Snooki being adopted, but she's never wanted to explore it. And maybe seeing Angelina explore it and realizing, I'm getting into my 30s, 40s. If I'm going to do this, I should do this now while I know that my parents could be out there. So I'm glad that
I think that's one of the only deeper conversations that Nicole and Angelina have had in the last couple of seasons is Nicole thanking Angelina for letting her be part of Angelina's process and telling her that it inspired her to do this too. So I think that's been
that her do you think that her biological family does know about Jersey Shore, and because if she looks that much like them, that maybe they might assume, because Jersey Shore was on a ton of countries. Like it was
Yeah.
almost
Yeah,
like,
no, it's very possible that they know who she is. And I'm thinking, I could be wrong, but it seems like in this interaction, they were careful not to show her
yeah,
face or
I
tell
think,
her name. And I think they don't even know her by Nicole. They know her by whatever name she was originally
yeah,
named.
that I think that's what they are using. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
it's that name or if they just gave an alias, but it's definitely not her real name. And she's probably nervous that, especially right out the beginning, if they know who she is, then
I
it
think
could
she learned from
change.
Angelina, honestly, in that aspect,
Yeah.
because I think Angelina's dad, at least from what it seemed like on TV, really did kind of try to take advantage of her and
Mhm.
the show and what he might be able to get out of the show. I do think it's nice that she got her sister out of the whole deal because her sister doesn't seem as, thirsty for the all the money and all of that,
Yeah.
but yeah, her dad, it seems like her dad was really, maybe that's where she gets some of her,
I mean, it was
feeling.
sad,
Yeah.
honestly.
That was really sad to see
I
that turn out that way.
but I do think it's a little bit different because that dad walked out on her how
Yeah.
many years ago and never came back until there was a show and until, she was this, I'm sure he knew who she was the entire
Yeah.
time, but
Yeah.
he was
He lived,
deciding
like,
me out.
miles away from her. I'm sure
Yeah.
he knew who he was. Yeah.
I mean, even if the Nicole's biological dad all of a sudden started coming around after abandoning her, it's it's kind of similar to me. Like if that
Mhm.
would be weird, but this birth mom, you can tell she's just went through years and years of probably wondering if she's okay, if she's alive,
Yeah.
where she went, if she unless she truly saw Jersey Shore and was like, that's got to be my daughter.
Right.
it's
But
it's
even
hard.
then, it's like you just don't, you
You
don't
don't
know.
know.
I feel that can even be triggering in itself, just to see
She
this
could think,
drunk girl on TV all the time wondering if that's your child.
where's the beach? I wonder if she did see Jersey Shore and think like, okay, maybe that's her. And then now that she heard that this other name, she's like, okay, well, maybe that wasn't her. And then
Yeah.
what if, that's even possible that she's kind of going back and forth like, is this the same girl? Is this not that girl? I guess it's not that girl. It's a different girl. Oh, how wrong was I? Like, I don't know. Just how
Yeah,
interesting, right?
it's really strange. So I hope
And
that
at
we hear.
least whatever country she's in, I'm sure Snooki has. I mean, if she's looking for money, she won't need much of it from Snooki to have a good life.
Probably. That's probably true.
The
I did
pesos.
feel bad by the end of this scene because it seems like the more that Snooki learns right now, the more
Mhm.
questions that she has and the more exhausted she feels by the situation. I do think it's a lot easier to just have that really clear boundary for yourself that I'm not interested, I don't need to know, I don't want to know. But now she is interested, she has learned things, and she seems really sad at the end of this. She seemed really sad even, when she was getting the photos of like, I just have to
Yeah,
process all of this. Obviously there is sadness involved in all of this, but I just kind of feel for her because it seems like she's kind of
conflicted.
being naive a little bit, like she doesn't really know what
Mhm.
kind of can of worms that she's opening, and I just hope that she's okay. I just hope, I know she's got young kids and it's a hard
Yeah.
time in life to be lifing and then to add a lot of emotional stress on top. I just hope she's supported, but obviously her parents, are great supports, and the cast
Mhm.
and Gianni and all of that. I know there's
Did
been
you think it
rumors,
was
but
weird that he wasn't involved in this? Because I know
no.
he doesn't like to film, so I get that part of it, but I
Yeah.
just feel like if I was going through this journey, my husband would like still want to be there some way.
Yeah.
But I
I
know
think
he hates filming.
I think he probably told her, if you want me to be there, then you can't have it on camera. And I think she
Mhm.
made a choice about it. I think that that's how their marriage has been for a lot of this kind of stuff that she shares on camera.
Oh,
But, and I know, I mean, she's talked a little bit, and some of the cast members have talked a little bit about that obviously causing tension. But yeah, I don't see him being on the show
in
like
any form or
in
fashion.
any capacity. Like, even if something tragic happened, I think he would say, pick one.
Blur me out.
Yeah, I don't even know if he'd go with that, but maybe.
I just
I
didn't
know
see him
Chris did
painted in
that
a
for a
bad
while.
light, so I wonder why, it's so
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, in the early seasons, I guess.
And I think that's what the problem is, that he's already been painted in a bad light. But you would think at least by now, they're all adults now. It's not like Gianni does anything crazy, but there was that scandal a couple of years ago with the adult
divorce.
website. No.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Where they
that
thought they were getting a divorce because of the Ashley Madison thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I can see why he didn't sign up for the show, and he's always been a little bit
private.
Not what?
Private? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think private is the word that I'm looking for. He's always been kind of private about the show and not really wanting to be on it very much. I think that that's his least favorite thing about Nicole, is that she's on this show, but I just don't know how someone, and I'm sure they have a great relationship, but I just don't know how someone could love Nicole but not love that she's on a show, because the things are kind of synonymous. Like, she is a star. She's
just like that season in Italy when she was going crazy and everyone was like, he doesn't love you for who you are.
I know. I can't say that I disagree, but that's why I'm like, Gianni should come on the show so that people can at least have a different memory of him. I mean, crap, like even if it's still bad, at least it's the one not from Italy, because that's the last thing I think of all the time, was his crybaby, sorry self walking away in Italy, letting Nicole just mope and scream for him for hours.
Oh my gosh, that was treacherous.
I know, only to meet up again at a train station so that they can cry in each other's arms to say goodbye. I mean, it's so, 20-year-old drama. I don't know how to break up with this toxic boyfriend.
Yeah. The best thing about that was when Ron and Sam were like, this is how we look.
They were all like, oh. I know. And then
we get it.
The next season, I think, was Miami, which was their worst time.
No, it was that was the 4th season, is Italy, and then they went back to Jersey, and then they wrapped it up. The next season after that. Yeah, because they filmed Italy in tangent with that next season with the 4th and 5th season were filmed like back to back. That's why Vinny ended up going home, is because they were just so, it was just too much. It was too much of the show. He was getting homesick. He was having anxiety, so that's why he went back. But yeah, that was like the later seasons,
right?
But.
So we did see kind of in between this, we set up a little bit of a storyline for Deana and Vinny have this commonality that they both share anxiety, different types of anxiety. I think Vinny is more of a generalized anxiety kind of guy, and Deana is talking about OCD. I think for the first time, I've never heard her talking about OCD before. I could always tell she's a little bit, controlling and things like that, but I didn't know that she had OCD. So she opens up about that she struggles with counting things, touching things. She has a lot of fears related to some of these rituals if she doesn't perform them. The house flip show was good with Gianni. Oh, okay.
I forgot about that show, honestly.
I forgot about that too. Well, I never watched it, but I knew it existed.
Yep, she came back to the shore pregnant for season 6, and that's when they put the kibosh on it.
Yep. And Gianni was involved in like Nicole and Jenny's little spin-off show when they were neighbors with each other and stuff too. So I mean, he's involved here and there, but I've not seen him on like the family vacation shows. I don't think.
No,
really
it's been a long time. It's probably been on TV for like 10 years.
Right. So Vinny and Deana decide that they are going to tackle their anxiety by working out together, which I think is really nice for Vinny to help Deana do. And she's going to start by running a 5K in, I don't know, a couple of weeks or however long. So we will see that play out this episode as well.
And when Deana signed up for the 5K, she signed up for it because it had pizza and stuff at the end.
She picked one that had pizza involved.
I don't blame her. I would have did the same thing. That would have been my exact same reaction. Like, oh, this one was made for me.
For sure. If you have a choice of 5Ks to choose from and one of them involves beer and pizza at the end of it, I don't know why you would choose any other one.
That's why Mike signed up last minute, I think. He just wanted the pizza.
Exactly.
He didn't care about the 5K.
Right. So we hop back into Sammy's storyline. a little bit. She talks about how she is expecting to have surgery soon on removing one of her ovaries. She had
which we kind of skipped over her last episode, but she did also talk about this in the last episode as well. But
she did. Yes. She had a cancerous tumor on one of her ovaries several years ago, so she got that removed. And they are thinking that either there was some cells that were bad that either stayed and were left behind, or that this ovary is just sort of impeding things because of what happened in the past. Yeah. So they're gonna just take it out and see if that helps her to get pregnant. And spoiler alert, I think it does, because she is currently pregnant.
Yeah, she announced it back in February, so it's not a big spoiler. In fact, her kid's gonna be born in August, so coming up.
Yes.
So she's pretty preggers.
So Deana comes up with the bright idea, although she can't be there to help because she has to train for her 5K, that she is going to get Sammi some affirmations and put them in a jar for her while she goes through surgery and recovery and all of that. The only problem is that Deana is sort of the grandmother of the group when it comes to being positive and loving and all of that. Not that Snooki and Jenny are not those things, but they're just more fun about it. I don't know.
They're not the people you'd go to for daily affirmations.
Or like an affirmation. Yeah.
Yeah. And they thought, I laughed so hard when Jenny opened that gift thing. She's like, is this a breakup gift? What is this? And then they had to call Deana to be like, what is going on here?
I know. And they were so unimpressed when they heard about it. But even when they were giving it to Sam, they were embarrassed to give it to her. And then she opens it and she
accountability for it. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. They were like, this is from Deana.
Even when she said thank you guys, they didn't say
then
anything.
They switched up a little. They're like, well, we wrote them.
We helped. Yeah.
We helped. And Sam loved that idea. And I thought that was so funny because Jenny in the confessional is like, if somebody gave me this gift, I would lose my mind.
I know.
That was just hilarious. And even their conversation on the way to Sam's, like about men and how they do things, like if their thing slaps them around and stuff like that. It was just gold. I love seeing Snooki and JWoww together. They're just so funny.
Yeah, I think when we're covering more episode by episode, we'll probably be able to talk more too about like their funnies, because this show is just hilarious. I just love it. But they talk a little bit at Sam's about Angelina's and the podcast some more, how they're all feeling about it. And I know you haven't watched Secret Lives of Mormon Wives yet, Anne, but one of the running jokes, and you might know this just because it's all over social media, but one of the running jokes of the show is everyone always laughs because at the end of every argument, they're on a confessional and they're like, is Mom Top going to survive this? And I was just laughing because they were having their own, is Jersey Shore going to survive this kind of conversation? And they're trying to figure out, and this seems to be kind of the general theme for the last couple of episodes, is how do we move forward when Angelina is such a maniac? So, I mean, we'll have to see, but it sounds like in this conversation, they somehow, unless I missed something, decided to have like this emergency meeting that they're going to have. Because I didn't see them decide it, but at some point towards the end of the episode, we hopped into an emergency meeting.
Yeah. They are basically talking about how they were like on the bandwagon of Angelina when they were in Miami and then got blindsided by this podcast. And she's just been going on the podcast week to week to week. Like, these people make me sick and everything. And I'm like, girl. And now then you're going to go on the next family vacation. It's going to be so awkward.
I know.
So they're trying to fill in.
She does every single time. It's whether she's on a podcast or she's on Twitter or she's on TikTok or Facebook Live, Instagram Live, whatever. This is what she does consistently every single season. And she stirs the whole pot right before a vacation, and then they go on vacation, and then all they do is argue. And she's like, "You guys hate me because you don't want to be my friend." And it's just like, no, just be normal.
Yeah, just be normal. Just a moment.
Just for a moment.
Just a moment. But we go back over to the guys, and they're going to Vinny's stand-up show.
Yes. And the whole way to the stand-up show, they're cracking jokes about Mike's hair and being careful where you transplant yourself and being proud of growth and all kinds of things.
And Mike ain't budging.
Mike, no, not yet, at least. So
no.
We do get a short little snippet of
1 second. Go ahead and tell him about this, but I just gotta get off camera for just a second.
Oh, what's this girl's name again, though?
Oh man, I don't know her. Polly's girl. I don't remember her name.
Call her Nicole.
It's not Nicole though. I forget her. Is it Nicole? It might. Y'all, Cindy, what's her name? I forget her name. I feel like I know she had that big wine thing with Angelina, and I don't know. I just don't remember her name. Cindy,
anyways, yeah. Cindy will help us out. So we get a little bit of a snippet of Pauly D going on a date with his girl, whose name will be determined soon. They have a little bit of a funny banter. I mean, we saw her on the original Shot at Love, and she was all Pauly D, 100% in from the very beginning, almost a little bit too much so. And she ended up making it all the way to the end of the first season of A Shot at Love, but Pauly D ended up not picking any girls. Then they had a second season of A Shot at Love, to which she came back. And then there was some drama like between them as well. And they ended up, I think, getting back together during COVID. So they were trying to figure out when their first date was, because apparently they have several.
Yeah, it gets confusing over there. But apparently Pauly was also supposed to be the ride for these guys. So they're like, dude, where are you at?
Right.
We had the whole Vinny mobile, Vinny's world tour, along with a Chooch. Oh, Nicolette. So kind of Nicole, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes. Oh, and they call her Nikki. You're so on point, Cindy. Thank you so much. That's why I was calling for your help.
Yeah. She got the full name, the nickname, all the names. Everything. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much, Cindy. So anyways, one of these days we might have to just make you a little moderator. You help us out so much.
I know. She'll be our first. So
our first.
We see Vinny starting off with his very first comedy show ever. He does a little asking, like he asks some questions sort of about what to expect in the beginning, and asks, about how long he should be up on the stage and all of that. You can tell that he's really nervous, which I would be really nervous myself as well. It's not really just like your first time doing stand-up at a small show. If you're somebody like Vinny, it's going to be online. It's going to be everywhere. Yeah. We saw with Farrah from Teen Mom what happens when you have a terrible stand-up show. So
that's not even stand-up. That's just someone yelling at you.
That wasn't stand-up. We won't call that. You're right. But that's what she thought it was. So
it was like, sit down, shut up.
It was sit down and shut up. Yes, I'm begging you. But he had some good jokes. I mean, he had jokes about his friends. I loved the before and after of sobriety. I loved that he said that their probation officer was sitting next to them. I think that he did really good, but he's usually pretty good at, roasting his friends and the castmates. But these were actually quality jokes. Usually I don't even really like Vinny's jokes about the castmates, because he has a way of latching on to one topic and just going and going and going until it's dead. Yeah. But these were pretty funny. Some of the other jokes he said were pretty funny about the gym and things like that. So I wish Vinny a healthy comedy career. He can't be a stripper forever. So
I'll go watch him.
I wouldn't mind watching him either. I would pay money for that.
I would. Yeah. So they have their dinner afterwards, and I think this is where the guys talk about Sam, and Ron says he's happy for Sam, that he couldn't give her that. So that's why they broke up. I'm like, sir, you guys broke up in your early 20s because y'all's was toxic. Not
terribly toxic. Yeah. Couldn't give her what? History. Couldn't even give her a straight answer about the girl in Miami and the French fry, all these things.
The French fry was a different girl, but yeah.
The French fry was baby mama, but
either way, same behaviors.
That's what he can't. It's not that he couldn't give her the thing she wanted. It's that he internally was flawed at that time.
Yeah. Mike's hair does look bad. Mike's hair is interesting, I will say. I noticed like the top wasn't as filled in when he like looked down though. So I don't know what's going on there.
So I know when you get a transplant, I'm not an expert by any means, but I think
It's
it
all
takes some.
red. Because
Yeah,
he's
that,
sore.
yes. But I think it also takes a while for it to actually really grow in. They kind of put the follicles in there, and then after a while, it starts to really come in. So you will have hair right away, but as far as having a full head of hair, I think that
Yeah.
takes a while. So he might be filming a little too early, or maybe sometimes the follicles don't take either. So maybe he needs a touch up.
Yeah, he does look
He does
really
look
different.
totally different, though. I mean, he looks even back when he was younger, his hair was never that long, you know?
No, or full or
Yeah.
anything. He just used to spike it.
Yeah.
But he actually gets all geared up for this marathon.
Mhm.
Apparently, he's joining it. Jenny, I think, is just waiting at the end for everybody, like,
Yeah, she
I
just
would
came
be.
with some signs.
Yeah, but he comes in with the Italian bandana, the Italian flag. Like this
Mhm.
man acted like he was gonna start it, but then he runs into a statue of Frank Sinatra and is like, you know what? He did it his way. I'm gonna do it my way. I'm gonna get me a cab and I'm gonna meet them for pizza.
I know, I know. It
And then
was so
Deana's
good.
like, how did this man beat us? It's like, it's Mike. What do you think he did? Like,
He was there for the pizza. He started the race, he ended the race, he went past the finish line so that he could technically secure his pizza, and I mean, that's all that he came there for, but
if
Deana
they would
and
have waited
Vinny.
for him, it would have been hours.
No, it truly would have been hours. I don't think he would have made it. I thought that it was pretty funny. He's like scurrying up to the front and sprinting and whatever, and Vinny's like he's gonna gas out in just a second, and there he was.
At the
I'm
end.
wearing a hat. Right.
Yeah, I'd be wearing a hat too, at least for now. But maybe that irritates the hair follicle thing. Maybe you're not
I
supposed to
think
when you
so.
do
Yeah, I
that.
was actually a little surprised to see him with that sweatband on.
Well, he did keep moving it down. He was like, "It's gotta stay right here." You could tell it was irritating his hairline.
Oh yeah.
But they go
Oh,
out and have a little celebratory drink and pizza and congratulate Deana on her first marathon and they give Mike more crap about his hair, which he is not
for the first
confirming with
time,
anyone.
he actually acknowledges the rumors. He wasn't even acknowledging the rumors before. So
Mhm.
at least he acknowledges the rumors. He says he can't confirm or deny. I'm sure we're going to hear quite a bit more about these
Mhm.
rumors.
Yes. But
But
now
Mike can't just have rumors started about him. He must stir the pot and start rumors himself because this really is Mike's MO, has always been Mike's MO,
yeah,
and has always been the most truest form of a drug that Mike can find, which is a little bit of stirring.
and gossip. So he
And
wants to plan a family meeting about Angelina. Imagine being Angelina and watching this family meeting go on about you.
so I think Angelina's going to show up to that family
You
meeting
think?
later on.
The same exact one that they're all at?
I think so.
Okay. Guess we'll see to be
I think
continued,
they're
right?
gonna talk about her first and come up with a united front, and
And then invite her over?
I think they did like a everyone come over at 5 o'clock, but we'll tell her it's at 6 o'clock kind of thing, and then she'll show up at 7 o'clock.
Mm, possible.
I think
Possible.
so. They've done this, I think, with her once or twice.
I guess we'll see. I know in the previews it just shows Mike and Jenny talking to her one on
It
one. So
does.
I guess
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes. But everybody does show up to this emergency Angelina meeting. And there's food, and it's a serious sit down. Everyone's there but her. Ron and Sam are
Including
even in
Ron and
this,
Sam in the
including
same room sharing a meal.
yes. Popeye on Crack was Angelina's best nickname. He does look like Popeye, I swear. That that man did not age into anything but Popeye. He's just missing like a overbite
Mhm.
or something.
It's true.
But at this meeting, everyone gets shook because Sam starts it off with, Angelina talking crap about us, and it's just not like the way I would do things. I don't even talk crap about Ron. Looks at him, points at him, says his name, and Ron smiled. Like he was at first shook, and then he was like,
He hasn't heard the name Ron in so
Ron.
long.
I wouldn't talk bad about Ron. Like, she was not.
Everybody was freaking out. At first, I'm just like, so I see that the scene is going down. I see these two are in the room. I recognize that nobody has acknowledged it, not even production. There's been nobody in a confessional acknowledging that this is going on. And then all of a sudden, Sam just starts talking and acknowledges Ron. And I'm sitting, I was doing the same thing. I was like, did she just say his name? I think I rewound it. I don't know why it's that big of a deal. But last season with the
Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you?
Yeah, how you doing?
How you doing? Yeah. No, it was funny, and everybody's reaction to it was crazy. And Vinny was like, "They're basically back together. We're gonna get a new season out of this."
I know, which I'm here for it if that's what's gonna keep us together. But I had to leave this last part in. I don't know if this is true or not, but I thought that it was very telling that Jenny is the one to say this, that if we have Ronnie and Sam in the same room together acknowledging their kindness towards each other, then there's definitely room for Angelina to come sit at the table too. And I think that that's kind. I think that that's something that Angelina needs to hear, that she is still welcome, but also that, she needs to get her life together.
Herself. She needs to feel.
Thank you. That is the best way to say that. The absolute best way to say that.
She might be welcome there, but she's got to welcome herself in there.
Yeah. Yes.
One thing we did touch on was that Sammi did get the surgery, and it did seem to go well. And obviously, we know now that she's pregnant, so it definitely went well. I think that half ovary is what was really deterring her, because sometimes, you could be doing all the right things, but if you got something like that going on, it can just make your body can just start rejecting anything that comes from it because it's like defective. So I think it was a smart move for her to get rid of that half ovary. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, look at her now. She's about to be having a baby in like 2 months. So yeah, good for her. But yeah, so what is for next time?
So I have a for next time, and I have a little snippet of the season teaser that they gave us. But obviously, that season teaser is always kind of crazy, so I just pulled a couple of things. But next time, Jen and Angelina are going to talk about how to move forward. These girls got to stop with the fillers. They are pretty enough. I agree. It has, when they started back up with the family vacation and they got their new faces, and it was kind of a funny thing, sort of like Mike has his new hair. I mean, they were doing the same type of jokes towards them. Yeah. I thought that they actually did a good job. I was like, wow, they still look normal, but they look refreshed, the way that you would probably want to look ideally. But it has, with those kinds of things, you just keep going. You have to at least maintain them. And if you don't maintain them, you kind of sink in, and sometimes you want to get more because you just want to get more. And yeah, I think it does kind of tend to get out of control. So
yeah, the thing with Botox is that so your skin naturally produces elastin, and it does decrease as we get older, which is why we get wrinkles and stuff like that. But if you start injecting yourself with Botox, especially in your 20s or like early 30s, your skin will stop producing that because you're putting it in there yourself. So your skin will feel like it doesn't have to do that. So that's why they have to keep up on the fillers, because otherwise they will have a lot of wrinkles because they kind of screwed themselves in a way. Now they have to keep up on that. But yeah, that's just
and that's why a lot of people's, especially celebrities, their faces just kind of tend to morph. I don't think a lot of people are getting as much heavy work done as people think that they are. It's just their faces morph over time because there's so many, one day they have full fillers and they're a little swollen. The next day they're looking how they're supposed to look. And then the next day everything is sunken in and they're due for some more. And then they did a little bit too much. It's like everyone's face just morphs all the time because of all these different amounts of liquids and stuff.
Yeah, once you start, it's really hard to stop unless you did it like as a one-time thing and you're like, oh, this was horrible, I'm never doing it again. Your skin might bounce back from that, but when you do it consistently, your skin just doesn't bounce back as well. And you got to keep filling it in. And yeah, it's a slippery slope. And I speak that as an esthetician. I'm not like just making this stuff up. So
right.
Anyways.
But yeah, so for the next time, we'll see Jen and Angelina talk about if there's a way to move forward. I feel like this is probably on the heels of the emergency talk, but I still feel like Angelina's going to show up and was invited to that. But I don't know. It could be wrong. We'll see. Vinny is going to do his own marathon. I think Pauly D is going to come be his cheerleader. And Snooki and Deana are going to go out. They're going to have a little bit of fun. Snooki's going to ride a bull. So it's always fun to see the two of them go out and have a fun time. And I know Deana's been real anxious about her kids going to school and stuff. But as far as the season, obviously there's a lot to celebrate. It's been 15 years on the air, so I think that there's going to be a couple of various celebrations for those things that we saw. They're going to go at least on a trip to Jamaica that we know about. They're going to have a last shot at love with Vinny, which would now be the third shot at love that he's had.
A lot of shots of love.
Lots of shots at love. We are going to hear some more stuff about Snooki's birth mom. I think she's going to consider if she wants to meet them or not. And it looks like someone's going to have a health issue alongside kind of showing some of Sam's pregnancy journey. So I don't know if those are the same people that are having a health issue or if someone else is having a health issue. And then we're going to see Lauren's confront Angelina's. And that is the thing that I really want to see, because I think Lauren has a way of like cutting the BS, and she doesn't really feel like she has to film with Angelina or necessarily be friends with her. So it sounds like there might be a big confrontation there. And that's
Laurens go back and forth a lot.
They do. They certainly do. And Laurens don't play. So I think that this is where it starts to show in the trailer that there might be maybe more going on behind the scenes than we know. I don't know if this is a mental health issue. I don't know if this is a substance issue or, a mix of all of that. But they start talking about being worried about Angelina and that, you could either be behind bars or be under the ground.
And what's it going to take?
What's it going to take?
What's it going to take?
And then we see some lap dances, some drinking, some chaos, usual Jersey Shore debauchery, and I'm here for it. I'm very excited. I hope you guys are excited too.
And Cindy says, waiting for the prank. Which prank? But because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of pranks.
Yeah, if Pauly D's around, there will be a prank in store.
There's a lot of pranks with Pauly D around. Yeah, that's like he's my favorite.
Love him. Yeah,
love him. He's my absolute favorite. Never a dull moment with that guy around screaming random crap like a Ninja Turtle.
No.
Anyways, so any last comments at all or things on these? We did cover both episodes, so it's a lot. Usually we won't be covering two at once, but
yes, we had to catch you guys up, catch ourselves up.
And we liked giving a conclusion to that whole adoption thing. I do like that. Instead of just leaving us on that cliffhanger, we were able to talk about that next episode. So that was good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm excited to follow the rest of this show. I think we are also going to be doing some week caps at least every other week, maybe once a week, depending on how much goes on as far as we follow like Teen Mom, obviously Jersey Shore. So if anything kind of pops up in real time, we'll cover that. We follow Sister Wives, Netflix universe, reality shows, anything else that pops up of our interest. So check those out as well. Thanks for
showing Abroad is coming back.
Oh, Mash Me Abroad is coming back. We will certainly be covering that one.
Yes. And we probably will be doing our weekly live next week because there's been quite a few things going on this week, but there's going to be a resolution. Like there's going to be more about these things next week. So I kind of want to have more of a complete thing to talk about next week instead of like just waiting.
Our recap might be pretty long next week. So definitely grab your large drink, grab yourself a snack when you see us go live next week for the week cap, because we have some things to take. Sorry, hubby person asking a million questions.
Don't they all?
We all know the struggle
we all
of
know that.
Yeah, mine will be doing that through that door in about an hour. So
yeah. Any final thoughts before we take off for the evening? We're gonna kind of have to cut it short today. Usually we'd be on for another damn hour and a half doing our week.
Yes, but we do have prior obligations today.
Yeah, today is a little rough for me, but
yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
what do you
Cindy,
think?
thank you for joining us again,
Mhm.
and we can't wait to see you hopefully next week. Thanks for all your help with our questions that we had about Nikki's
Yeah,
name,
thank
and just
God.
keeping us some good company while we were here on live. So, thank you all. If you're
Yes.
catching us on the rewatch, everyone, don't forget to like the video. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed. Click the share button, copy the link, all the
That
good
helps
stuff.
us out a lot. You don't even gotta share the link, you just copy it, and
Just copy it.
that acts like it's a share. It's crazy. But yes, we
Wonderful.
will see you next time. And thank you again, Cindy, for being here for all the lives. I mean, you've really put in a day's
You've been
work
with
with
us
us.
all day, just like me and
Yeah.
Anna been with each other all day. So you're the real
Yeah.
OG for today.
The MVP of the day.
Yes.
But
All right.
we
Well, we will see you all next time.
bye bye, ChickChat. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, Rihanna. And what's it gonna take?